Hildemore of Weird, and I would love to read to you my Sunday notes from the field from last Sunday, week 9, in this strange, miraculous, surprising year of 2022, in which we learn to listen to love. I'm Janet Connor, prayer artist, mystic witch, mistress of the thresholds, producer and director in the Theater of the Miraculous, and familiar to the regal Hildemore of Weird. You'll be hearing a lot more from her. She has a lot to say, but can I just tell them now that you describe yourself as the child of the moon and ancient of days. So, shall we read? Week 9, we ask, what medicine do you need to return to your soul? Friends, soul writers, mystics, lovers of prayer, if 2022 is the year we learn to listen to love, then in this 9th week we really have to dig deep, don't we, to find ears that can hear any love in the chaos. It's hard right now to see or hear love, isn't it? Instead, we see and hear the crash of tanks pounding the ground in Ukraine. I wonder, is this what September 1st, 1938 felt like? That's the day Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The news of Russia's invasion of a sovereign country sends my heart to weeping. And yet, in the strangest paradoxical timing, at the exact same time, I think the next day or 48 hours later, President Biden announced his choice for the opening in the United States Supreme Court, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Jackson is a brilliant Black woman with impeccable credentials. She has more judicial experience than Thomas, Roberts, Kagan, and Barrett had at nomination combined. And this so warms my heart. She began her legal career as a public defender. Did you know? My son, thanks to a stint as a political prisoner in a federal prison, is a public defender. We've never had a public defender on the Supreme Court, and we've never had a Black woman. So, the news of Judge Jackson's nomination sends my heart soaring. How can one heart, one body hold such contrasting emotions of weeping and soaring? On the one hand, an old, abusive, patriarchal hand, an avaricious plutocrat marches into a foreign country to steal land and wealth that belongs to the people who live on that land. Does that ring any bells? Does that sound slightly familiar? It should, especially if you live in the United States. Last Sunday, in Reckonings, Pluto Returns, Part 1, The Myth of America, Rabbi Tirza Firestone guided us into a profound meditation to meet the daemon, D-A-E-M-O-N, the daemon or spirit of America. And she told us to ask the daemon the Grail question, what ails thee? Now, everyone's experience was unique, but I noticed for a few of us that spoke up, there was a theme of theft. It certainly was for me. The daemon, the spirit of America that showed up for me in Deep Soul Writing, was literally a thief, complete with that kind of cartoony black mask. But pus was oozing from a 4-century-old wound, a wound that he acknowledged is unatoned theft. There has been so much theft in this country. And in all plutocracies around the world, theft of the land, theft of the resources of the land, theft of the labor of the people forced to work the land, theft of dignity, theft of culture, theft of languages, theft of freedom, theft of self-determination. There is so much unatoned theft. And it continues. Don't you find it interesting? I find this really interesting that the term for a government in which very wealthy people use their wealth to rule is plutocracy. Do you hear it? Pluto. Pluto's stamp of darkness. Pluto, who is calling us now, as he comes crashing across the natal chart of the United States of America, to a reckoning with our history. So next, Tirza said, ask the daemon. Now listen to this question. What medicine do you need to return to your soul? What medicine do you need to return to your soul? Well, before I could even finish writing the question, the thief began to cry. Pray for me, he said. Grant me another chance. See me as good. See me as good? This request started kicking up sand and dirt in my heart. Could I do this? Could I do this? Could I? And instantly I knew I could. I can. Because I have had 3 great teachers on this mystical truth. My first teacher was the man who stole my money, my house, but far worse than that, the far, far greater injury was stealing any sense of safety and confidence that I had once had, my ex-husband. Now, I prayed for him every day before, during, and after the divorce. And as he was dying, our son and I stood by his bed in ICU, and I totally surprised myself, and I'm pretty sure I surprised my son, by saying out loud, we promise to remember only the good. Well, when my ex-husband died 3 days later, on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement that year, he immediately began to atone. He became, and continues to be, the Master of Atonement, the King of Atonement. He has continued to atone for 18 years. And I have kept my word. I see him as good. You know why? Because he has proven himself to be very, very good. My second teacher, coming to me through Rabbi Tirza Firestone, was her rabbi, Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, the man who ordained her. When Rabbi Tirza and I led a prayer intensive in 2020 on the Tree of Life, a little introductory taste to Kabbalah, she shared towards the end of our time together Rabbi Zalman's radical and very difficult teaching that if we focus on one good thing in another, no matter how small that one good thing might be, that one small thing does begin to grow. Now, when Tirza said this, I recognized this is true because I had heard the exact same thing from a mystical source that I treasure and trust, the masters and teachers of the Akashic Record. When my son was unexpectedly released from federal prison by the judge who had sent him to prison in an attempt to coerce him to name other activists on the radical left, I turned to the masters and teachers. I asked them through Laura Lynn Bunn, did my prayers and the prayers of 100 others, maybe you were one of them, who joined me at 11 a.m. Eastern every single day, how many days do we do it? 90-something days. For 5 minutes to do nothing but shower the prison with almost 1,000 inmates, to shower that prison with the Divine Mother's unconditional love. So I asked them, by any chance, did those prayers make a difference? Listen very, very carefully to their answer. This is, I believe, the most profound teaching I have ever received on prayer, and it is such a big deal to me that I rewrite it on the inside cover of every single journal. I go through 5 or 6 of those a year, and I rewrite this, and I need to reread it, and I need to remember it every single day. They said, in each individual, in each soul, there is a king. Speak to the king, and the king will come forward. Well, that means that holy and wise king was somewhere inside that vehemently angry judge who sent my son to prison. And somehow our prayers brought the voice of that king forward to write the release. That king, I know, was inside my ex-husband, and I know prayer absolutely positively brought his kingness forward. So that has to mean that this king is somewhere inside the Damon Thief of America. I think when Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, when we're able to watch the ceremony, when she takes her seat on the highest court in this land, a court that has never had a black woman, never had someone with a public defense background, then I think I'll be hearing that Damon sort of bowing his head and saying, this is one small step in my atonement. But that leaves us with the problem today, Russia. Putin. Is there a good king in there somewhere? Can prayer touch that really deeply buried king? Well, it would help me if I changed the word king to queen. This is hard. I know it's hard. It's hard for me. And I don't know that it's going to work, but I am determined to pray every single day that the queen, the mother queen, the lady, the goddess of goodness, kindness, equality, justice, sovereignty, that queen hidden somewhere in the chaos, somewhere in the Russian army, somewhere in Putin, that queen will make herself known, and we will see that she is good, very, very good, and she will grow. To the deep knowing that prayer does change the field. It changes the field. It activates the good seed, and it opens the door to sacred and necessary atonement. And to that, Hilda Moore and I say, Amen. If you would like the recording to Reckonings, you can click on the link below. If you would like to receive these Notes in the Field on Sunday, it does take Hilda Moore and I a while to make the recording, you can click below to subscribe. If you'd like to know more about prayer artistry, all of the things I do and offer, let me whisper this to you right now. There's an astonishing prayer intensive that I'll be announcing next Sunday. It's called The Long Story of Our Souls with Perdita Finn. All of that is at janetconnor.com. Until Hilda Moore reads us the next newsletter, pray. Please pray. And may the queen within always, always come forward, because she is so good. She is so good. She is so very